Jordan Love experienced a leg injury in last night's game against Philadelphia Eagles. He's going to be out for a little bit. And now we're looking at Malik Willis and potentially Sean Clifford as the next guys up to fill a spot. This is going to impact the Packers, all the wide receivers and running backs in the offense, their fantasy production. We're going to deep dive this. We're going to look at whether or not you need to look into this even more, and we're going to look at the advanced analytics. We're going to theorize around the quarterback issue and everything else. But before we dig in, you need to click that subscribe button right now because we're doing these deep dives every day. If an injury happens, we're going to deep dive around the situation. If someone's climbing the depth chart, someone climbing the waiver wire, climbing in value in fantasy football, we're going to deep dive the situation. We're going to help you set your lineups with these videos and help you win the waiver wire as well. Click that button. Stop missing out. So the Jordan Love injury is kind of gruesome, kind of nasty. If you haven't seen it, it's right here. But he has been diagnosed with a sprained MCL. So he's going to be out a few weeks. Could be like 2 to 6 or something like that. Usually quarterbacks with this type of injury come back a little bit quicker. His mobility might be impacted or should be impacted because it is an MCL sprain, but not a torn ACL. As we knew prior for the diagnosis, and we knew it wasn't an ankle, but still, good news considering it could be a lot worse. But now we got to look at the quarterbacks here because this is going to be very interesting. Malik Willis came in last night's game. Didn't really go too great, but Malik Willis has also been with the team for a short time, just a cup of coffee, and then Sean Clifford hanging out on the practice squad. You know he's coming up, but looking at Malik Willis last night, he completed no passes, 1 attempt for nothing, and was sacked for 4 yards, so nothing really to note. But the story behind him is that everybody was really excited about him coming out for the draft, thinking he was going to be a first-round pick. Then he falls to the 3rd round. Everybody left waiting during the draft, wondering when he was going to get selected. There was a lot of hype behind Malik Willis. A lot of people who are into fantasy football, especially Dynasty, were into him due to the rushing upside he has. But he fell in the draft. If you remember during the Senior Bowl, there was a lot of hype around him during that because he was making some fun throws, hitting trash cans and stuff halfway down the field. But he fell in the draft. We went to Tennessee. We only played a few games there. Really didn't do anything, didn't show anything. And now we're with the Packers, and this might be his time to get right. But you look at his career here, especially at Liberty, he was productive on the ground. 944 yards in 2020, 878 in 2021. Passing yards, 2,800 in 2021 and 2,200 in 2020. But the rushing production, if you're looking at him for fantasy football, that's what you got to stare at. That's what you got to stare at. Maybe he can get you that rushing upside and that rushing floor. Maybe that can happen if he takes off, if he's getting enough opportunities to get those snaps, playing all 4 quarters. If you can do that, maybe he can get you some fantasy relevant success. That might happen. That might happen. Maybe that Tim Tebow comes out of him where you're not really moving the chains through the air, not really being the best quarterback out there, but fantasy football-wise, you're scoring some points. But we're looking at Sean Clifford here, and this story isn't that great either. You look at him at Penn State, and you're just waiting his entire career to really kick it into gear, really get this passing offense going. Penn State's passing offense hasn't been that great, but there was a lot of people looking at Sean Clifford as one of those dark horses in last year's draft, hanging out on the practice squad now. Possibly he comes in as a replacement as well. He knows the offense might get some opportunity, but you're looking at these wide receivers. Jayden Reed was very exciting yesterday. 18.8% target share, good ADOT at 17.3, 104 air yards. He just went off. 138 receiving yards as well. Romeo Doubs got some opportunity as well. 21.9% target share as he's led the team in targets with an 8.6 ADOT. Christian Watson always up and down, 10.6 ADOT on 5 targets. Wick's got a little bit of opportunity as well, but that's probably going to get scaled back with either quarterback starting. That's probably going to get scaled back. The pace of this play could be a lot slower. They might rely a little bit more on the run game. This whole thing might be in jeopardy for these wide receivers. The light at the end of the tunnel is a sprained MCL. So Love may not be out for too long and may come back in the next couple weeks, and things could be back in order. We got Indy coming up, Tennessee coming up. Malik Willis is in there. I kind of hope he is now for that road game against Tennessee for that comeback tour, because that's going to be fun to watch. At least you got some matchups here that you could still contend as a Packers fan. However, fantasy-wise, I expect things to run at a slower pace. Maybe you get lucky here and there. I think Jayden Reed is going to be scaled back, but be okay. But I don't look at this as a wide receiver carousel that I'm interested in, where you can just throw any of these wide receivers up as a dart throw and hope for the best, because one could hit for that week. Jayden Reed hit last night, but he's the one that gets the target share, gets the opportunities. I honestly believe things are just going to be scaled back a little bit. We got to see how long Love's going to be out. We're looking at like 2 to 5, 2 to 6 weeks. Probably on the shorter end of that stick, 2 to 3-ish, since he's at the quarterback position. They need him back desperately. And when he comes back, his mobility might be compromised a little bit. I can't guess how long, really, but that's like the likely timetable for that. So against Indy, Malik Willis, it's just going to be fun to watch. It's going to impact your wide receivers. Hopefully you're stacked at the wide receiver position. And as you know, in one QB, it's hell no. Hell no, hell no. Because you're probably going to pick up another quarterback off waivers that's a veteran, that's proven and tried and true. However, if you're in a 2 QB league that's deeper, you already know what to do. You already know what to do, especially if it's Dynasty, because you can't trade for quarterbacks unless you got to overpay, because they're going to make you overpay for that quarterback, and there's no quarterback sitting there on waivers. They're all gobbled out. There's somebody with 4 quarterbacks in your league, and you got to make that ugly choice to pick up one of those quarterbacks to see what happens, and you're fighting off the fab. That's just how the strategy's played. If you're in a traditional home league, 2 QB league, maybe not. If you got like 2 or 3 quarterbacks off waivers that are veterans to choose from, you're probably going with one of those if you lost Love. But traditionally, usually 2 QB, super flex, you're probably fighting for one of those quarterbacks off fab, and you're not going to like it. But just how the cookie crumbles sometimes. But let me know what you think in the comments below. I want to hear about it. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on the way out. One thing for watching. Catch you on the next video.